welcome back to another episode on Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm an anxiety coach who helps people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally. On today's episode, what I am going to be talking about is how whenever we're trying to do a certain technique that helps us to calm down, that technique can make us feel more anxious, which might sound completely the opposite of what we're trying to achieve, because these techniques are supposed to help us to feel much calmer. So it would make no sense that it would make us feel more anxious. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. And I'm gonna show you how whenever you're doing the technique, it's actually making you feel anxious. Now, the reason why when you're doing a technique can make you feel anxious is because you are trying to do it correctly. Now, I'm going to explain what that means. Whenever we're trying to do a certain technique, we are trying to make sure that we do it 100% the first time, that we get it down to the T, that we, every time when we're trying to do this technique, we are trying to get it down to the T so that we know that we're doing it correctly. So we're trying to achieve perfection, and that's what's making us feel more anxious. Like, for example, whenever we're trying to do the breathing exercise, whenever I try to teach people my breathing exercise, it's 3 steps that you need to do. And I always tell people, try this the first step. Once you master that, put in the second step and then the third step. Don't try to do everything in one shot. And if you try to do everything in one shot, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't mean you can't. But whenever you do it, just know you're not going to get it the first time. You're not going to get it correctly the first time, and that's okay. Because our entire goal is not to put pressure on ourselves. Because again, pressure is what creates more anxiety, because our sympathetic nervous system right now cannot handle our pressure, cannot handle our stress, cannot handle our worry. So if we're worried, hey, am I doing it correctly? Am I not doing it correctly? Like, I don't know. And we're getting stressed out about it. Doing that creates more anxiety, because our sympathetic nervous system is responsible for handling our pressure, our stress, and worry. And right now it cannot. And this also, by the way, the sympathetic nervous system also controls our anxiety. So they go hand in hand. So if we're feeling stressed out, we're feeling worried, we are putting pressure on ourselves to make sure 100% that, hey, I am doing this correctly. I don't know if I am or not. That's going to make you feel more anxious. It's going to make you feel like, okay, I feel more anxiety. Why is this happening? I'm not supposed to. And this is why it may be that whenever you're trying to do the breathing exercise, you may not feel calm, that you're not experiencing the calmness that comes with it. Another example is, let's say we're trying to do exposure therapy. And a lot of people do fail with this. And again, I don't like using the word failure, because, again, I don't believe in failure. I believe it's a learning curve. That's the way I look at failure. It's hard. I know that it's hard whenever we don't get what we want, or things aren't going the way we want it to be, or we're not achieving certain things and we feel like we're falling back. It sucks. It really does. But we can change that narrative from a negative, so we see it as failure, to more of a learning curve. That's a different way of seeing things. Like, okay, you know what? I didn't succeed in this. What can I do to improve? What can I do in order for me to get where I want to be? So let's take an example of exposure therapy. Exposure therapy is whenever you're putting yourself in the situation that's going to make you feel more anxious. And the whole entire point of exposure therapy is to get you used to those situations so that the amygdala, which is right now that's firing all of these signals to your sympathetic nervous system that you are in danger, it basically reprograms the amygdala and tells the amygdala, like, hey, this is a safe place. So now whenever you are in those situations, you tell yourself that you're in a safe place. This is a safe place. I am safe. You can kind of calm your anxiety down and reprogram it and show it like, hey, this is not a dangerous situation. This place is a safe place. And what happens eventually, that our anxiety starts to calm down. But a lot of us, what happens is that, and again, it's not your fault. And it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal not to succeed the first few times. That you may even go backwards a little bit. But if you continuously do this, you will see eventually you start feeling much better. We got to look more on the long term than the short term feeling. That's what it is. If we're looking at the long term feeling, you're going to be able to overcome this. And our long term goal, our long term feeling we want to be is anxiety free. So whenever we're trying to do exposure therapy, we may not succeed the first few times, but eventually we will get there. Right? But what happens is that it's like, number one, am I doing this correctly? It doesn't feel like it because I'm feeling anxious. I'm not supposed to feel anxious. Or that we're trying to make sure that everything is working out according to the way we want it to be. Our feelings, which is another huge thing of why we're experiencing anxiety. But we're trying to make sure that everything works out correctly, that we're doing everything correctly, that we are on the right path in overcoming our anxiety. And we don't even realize thinking that way is what's making us feel anxious, is what's creating more anxiety. So what can we do about this situation, right? What can we do whenever we're trying to do a technique? How can we handle it? How can we go about it so that we're not affecting our anxiety, we're actually healing it? The first thing that you want to do is not to put so much emphasis in doing it correctly. You tell yourself like, hey, you know what? The first time, most likely, I will not do this correctly. I may even mess up. But what I am eventually, where I'm going to be, is that I'm going to be a master in this. And how I'm going to get to that place is by being open to making mistakes. And it's okay. Because again, guys, on the back of our head, we always need to have that goal of like, my goal is to take off the pressure off my sympathetic nervous system. It's not about doing the technique. It's not about that. Because as you see, doing the technique may make you feel more anxious because you're putting pressure. So our whole entire goal of the technique itself, but in general, put the technique aside, is what? To be in a calmer state of mind, is to take off the pressure. That's what we want. So if that's creating more anxiety, we don't want to do that. So we need to change the mindset, telling ourselves, it's okay if I mess up. I may not get it the first time, but I'm willing to learn. I may need to review it a few times because a lot of us, we want to understand it the first time. And we're so like making sure like, okay, I hear every single word, that I get every single thing down. No, I may need to ask the question again, or I may need to hear the video again. I may need to do that again in order to get the entire concept. And it may be that I need to go through the motions of doing those things. And eventually I will get the hang of it and understand it. You understand? That's one of the ways that we can calm down. We can take off the pressure. We can take off the pressure from our anxiety. Now, from our sympathetic nervous system, actually. Now, what else we could do is tell ourselves, it's okay to mess up. I want to mess up. Let's make a mistake. I don't want to get it right the first time. What you're basically doing is taking off that pressure of that expectation. Okay, I need to get it done the first time. And I know that's hard for some people. I know that it's hard to say like, hey, I want to mess up. I don't want to mess up. I want to get out of the situation. But again, remind yourself, my goal over here is to take off the pressure. If I'm not doing that, I'm going backwards. So what do I need to do? I need to be okay with making mistakes. I even need to be okay with even going backwards, it may be, because a lot of us were stressed out. Okay, maybe I'm going to go backwards if I don't do this technique. Or maybe that I'm not going to succeed in this. I'm going to be stuck in this for the rest of my life. That isn't helping. We need to kind of trick our anxiety. Just like our anxiety tricks us, we need to trick it back. So that way we can start taking off the pressure from our sympathetic nervous system and start healing it. That is our goal. That's what you need to focus on every single time. Write it down. What is my goal? Healing my sympathetic nervous system. If you're able to heal the sympathetic nervous system, you will start feeling much better. You will have less anxiety. And of course, the way I do it again. That's the conscious way, but I also do the subconscious mind as well, because that is very effective as well, because there's certain things in the past that we need to heal and we need to fix over there. And that really helps us in our journey, because again, that past situation is also putting pressure on ourselves and worry and stressing out. And we don't even realize it because it's a subconscious mind. So we also need to heal that. And that's what I do with my sessions, is that I heal and I repair the subconscious mind, provide you whatever you need in order for you to move forward and get out of the situation. If you guys would like to know more about that, I do have a 30-minute free consultation. I will link the link below so you can set that up so that you guys can have more information on how I actually heal the subconscious mind. But to conclude, whenever you are trying to do a certain technique, I'm not saying not to. Continue doing it, but do it the right way. It's important in doing it the right way. And the right way is not putting pressure on yourself by making sure that you're doing it correctly 100%. By making sure that you're not making a mistake. By trying to feel good all the time, to feel great all the time, and having that expectation that the technique is what's going to help you to calm down your anxiety. What's going to help you actually to calm down your anxiety and heal it is by taking off the pressure. And the way we take off the pressure is by being okay with making mistakes, is by telling yourself that, hey, I'm not going to get it the first time, and that's okay, but eventually I'm going to get where I want to be. And that way we're able to feel much better with doing it and actually being able to master the technique. And as well, at the same time, whenever we're doing this, we're able to heal our anxiety by taking off the pressure in trying to achieve that perfection with our techniques. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because this way we're able to reach more people. And the more people that we can actually reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because my mission in this world, my purpose is to help people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally and show them that it's possible to overcome. Thank you guys. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.